Well, good morning. And it's another spectacular day down in Dorset. And we are out on another spectacular walk. It's going to be awesome. It's an interesting walk, a varied walk. There will be tales of woolly mammoths, of suicides. There will be ancient earthworks and hill fort, a couple of villages. It's going to be a devilish walk. And there's a clue there as to where we're going to be walking. If you know Dorset, you may know where I'm going to be walking today. Anyway, we have started the walk in a village called Milborne St Andrews, and you will have seen some of that village in the opening sequence, including a little stream, which is where the village gets its name, Milborne. It is a stream which is a winterborn, and you'll have seen from the sequence that in fact it's still dry at the moment, but it's where it gets its name from, mill and burn, which is the mill stream. The other half of it comes from the dedication of the church, which is St Andrew's. Before we get out walking, and I will tell you more obviously as we walk, we'll take a little walk around the church and have a look inside, film that, and then I'll tell you more as we go. But yes, it promises to be a fantastic walk, and I hope you're going to join me. So let's take a look at the church first of all. So St Andrew's Church is 12th century origin, although the tower and porch are 15th century, and of course, as always with our churches, it's been extended and restored, in fact in the 19th century in this case, in early English style. But it is a lovely church and a lovely spot on the side of the hill. So let's see if we can get inside. It's a lovely ornate arch, lovely doorway, pillars down each side. Right. It's got a heavy door. So that was a quick look around the church. Lovely church, absolutely delightful. And it's actually a lovely village. There is a main road going through the middle of it, but once you get away from that, it's actually very nice. There's some lovely colours in that tree ahead. So we're leaving the village now. We will pick it up again later, of course. But yes, the village name Milborne comes from the stream, Mill Stream. It's actually called Milborne Brook now, but it used to feed a mill at one time. It goes back to Doomsday times, of course, like most of our villages. It was Milborne then, and there was one mill on the list. Started out as 2 settlements, in fact. Well, 2, maybe 3 actually. There's certainly 2, Milborne St Andrew, Milborne Deverell, but there is a third one, Milborne Styleham, which seems to be slightly mysterious because there's no traces of it, I don't think, and people can't really tell, don't know much about it, I don't think, online. But they were all amalgamated as one village, and it became Milborne St Andrews, named of course after the church dedication. And it was at one time part of Cerne Abbey, obviously up until the dissolution, and suddenly became part of Henry VIII's empire again. Anyway, I'm going to tell you more about the walk in a minute, but I need to take a detour first of all. Oh, as always, let's do a detour. It is to take in a hill fort. Oh, eggs? Oh, none in there. In fact, let's go this way. So, the walk, the route, did you get the clues? Devilishly good walk, woolly mammoths, suicides. Well, we'll find out more about that later, but the route we're taking is actually going to go across the hills to Dewlish, a little village called Dewlish, which we'll learn more about when we get there. So we're going to hop across kind of the hills on the right, really, and then walk through Dewlish, and then we will come back over the hills back to Milborne St Andrew again. So I will of course put up a map so that you can see where we are and where we're going, but there's a lot to see on the way. It should be an absolutely awesome walk, but we haven't really got going properly. I've barely left Milborne St Andrew, but I do have to do a detour. As I say, there is nearby a hill fort, and I want to take that in on this walk. So we've got a detour off to the left in a minute. So the hill fort that we're heading for is straight ahead of us, shrouded in trees. And we've been following the stream, which is no stream at the moment. It's still in its summer state, just a dry bed. Makes you wonder how it could run a mill, because if it's a winterbourne, does that not mean that you can't use the mill all through the summer months? Unless back in the day when the mill was active, maybe the river wasn't a winterbourne. Maybe it was more a full stream or river. I don't know. Where's he heading for then? Because he's very low. That was unexpected. And he just managed to get the camera on in time. I haven't actually plotted this detour, incidentally. I plotted the main route. I've plotted that comes out to about 8 miles, but I didn't plot this. I mean, I knew the way. I've been to Weatherby before, maybe even filmed it, but it looks like it's going to add a mile or two onto my walk today. Well, I guess we'll find out when we get to the end. That's the best way, I think. You can plan walks, but don't over plan them. See what you come across and detour as you wish. Well, that's my approach anyway, although as I said in my last video, I think I'm trying to resist detouring at the moment until I fully recover from this long COVID thing that I've had. And here it is. We've just got to climb up this hill, only to come back down again, of course. But it's worth a look. So this is Weatherby Castle, shrouded in trees now, but the ramparts are still there. It's Iron Age, covers about 17 acres or thereabouts, so it's not a huge one. It's bivalent, as in two concentric ramparts, circular in shape, and of course with great views. We'll follow the ramparts round and head up into the middle, because there's something in the middle we need to look at. And then we'll have to retrace our steps. Wonderful light at the moment, so clear. Unfortunately, the forecast says sunny periods, so there is some cloud hovering about. But at the moment it's absolutely glorious and hot, I have to say. So we're getting round towards the other side now. The rampart's curving away to the left, which is where we're going to head in a minute. So we'll head over here, take in the view from the other side. So it's a kind of conical shaped hill, or dome shaped hill, which obviously makes it good for a hill fort. Right, we're going to head into the centre now. Climb over the inner rampart. To find something a little bit unusual in the middle. So this is what we've come to see, an obelisk on top of the hill fort in the middle of the trees. And on its side at the bottom it says EMP 1761. That makes it, well, it makes it a mystery because it is, of course, only visible if you decide to walk across the middle of the hill forts. I am assuming that it was erected perhaps before the trees were here, and it was visible from the surrounding land. But EMP refers to Edmund Morton Pleydell. He was an MP, so it's believed that that EMP refers to him. And he was, of course, the landowner at one time. A lovely bit of light coming through here. So it's brick built, but it's got a copper, I think it's a copper ball on top, because it's turned green where it's weathered. So I'll head off back out of the trees now, back into the sunshine on the ramparts. Since we have such lovely views, I think I might stop for 11s. I've actually realised that something I've forgotten, and that is a flask. And it's coming up to Bovril time, isn't it, I think? But for now I have to make do with water. And isn't this just spectacular? Amazing. I mean, it's some ways the cloud does us a favour, I think, because the cloud scudding across the landscape, I just think adds interest. Makes it even more lovely, I think. Just glorious. If I had my tent, I could pitch it here for the night. Anyway, 11s. Right. I've boosted my sustenance with a banana. Now we've got to retrace our steps back over to those trees over there, which is where we detoured from. This is such a wonderful place to walk. Got these lovely grassy paths. And it's just so lovely. I love this view. Just the spread of fields, the hedgerows, the trees that are dotted around, the sheep. Just makes up such a wonderful pastoral scene, I think. It's just a joy to walk. And I do like Weatherby Castle as well. Something it's accessible somehow, and whenever I've been here, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody else here, because it's, I suppose, off the beaten track, is it? It's not one of our best known ones. Oh, ha, that's funny, I've just said that and the dog walker's just coming. Hi. Go on, you can go too. He obviously doesn't know whether to or not, does he? He's nervous because I'm here. Go on, go and join your buddies. You seem to be waiting for him and he doesn't seem to want to go. Oh, maybe they've fallen out. Well, we're back on our path again. These trees are looking very nice, I think. Just beginning to change to a kind of warmer shade of green, at least, with patches of autumn oranges and browns. It's just lovely, especially when you get a nice blue sky like this. We're about to leave Weatherby Castle behind, over there amongst the trees. So we're heading up this way. I kind of think this barn's seen better days. I'm still heading up the valley. But look at this over here. There's an awesome lone tree in this field with those amazing clouds and that wonderful blue sky. Isn't that just awesome? Well, this has been a delightful route so far. Not an area I've walked an awful lot, to be honest. Not this part. But it's been an absolute pleasure so far. And I think I'm 3 or 4 miles into the walk already. And the bushes are starting to turn autumn shades as well. A little bit of colour to the landscape. That's another barn that's seen better days. Got tractors inside that one. And a derelict farm building or cottage over there. Can't go in there, private ground. It's not on our route. We're still heading up. Well, he's kicking up some dust. Oh. And there's the telltale sound of a buzzard over the valley, looking for his lunch, I should imagine. And this has that distinctive look of an old coppice wood. Now, should I have required a new walking pole, this would probably be the place to get it. Another lovely path this is, look. You just love these paths surrounded by woodlands and with a bit of sun breaking through every now and again. It's just beautiful. Well, this is confusing because according to the map, my route goes straight on. But it can't because there is no gap in that fence. And it's not only the shrubs, there's actually a fence, a 6-foot high wire fence as well. So I'm not quite sure what's happened. There's a field here, but that's barbed wire. I'm going to have to go through there and see if I can find a different way through, I guess. And in this field I've got a welcome party. Right, let's go down here then. See if we can see a gap. So it looks like we're meant to go through there, but if we look at the app where my red arrow is, there is no path. The path is off to the left over the other side of those cows. So clearly something's moved and the Ordnance Survey map's not up to date. Hey ho, we found our way. And of course there's no stile. I could clamber over there, or I've got to squeeze through here. And bearing in mind this is here, I assume you meant to clamber through the barbed wire. That is not good for a walking route. Well, finally I got through the fence. And it wasn't easy. At my age, bending down to get underneath barbed wire and getting caught up on it doesn't make life easy. Well, that needs reporting, I think, and sorting out. So we are approaching Dewlish now. Now Dewlish sits at the bottom of a steep hill. The hill, in fact, that we've been walking across is a chalk hill, and the part that sits east of Dewlish is the scarp slope, which is a steep slope. As you can see, there's an easier way. I'm not going down there. There's an easier way, slopey, less steep one for me to walk down. But I want to tell you while we walk, I want to tell you the story of the mammoth. Arthur Mee, who is famous for the King's England, who's a historian and writer, was, he is no longer, but he's famous, of course. So he described this. Interesting. He described it as the story of the mouse and the elephant. So the story is that back in the early 19th century, a geologist was scouting around this escarp slope to my right, about 100 feet up, I think, from the valley bottom, and it was always thought to be chalk and nothing else. But he discovered a tiny hole through the chalk, and it was a mouse hole. And what was unusual is that he could see in this hole there was sand, and sand was a valuable commodity in this area. So they bored a test boring, and sure enough there was sand. So they started to excavate and dig out this valuable commodity to be used for building purposes. And after they'd been doing it, they only got about 5 feet down, I think, when they discovered some fossilized willow, which was unusual. And below that they discovered some fossilized teeth. So they continued digging out the sand, and it was later in the 19th century, towards the end of the 19th century, they came across even more remains. These were bones and tusks, and it turned out to be the fossilized remains of 2 mammoth skeletons. And the thought was that at one time there was a river or stream running across the chalk high up, and that had worn away the chalk, of course, over time, and the sand was in fact sediment that had formed at the bottom, and that's what they were digging out. And it was thought what probably happened is that around this river there were bog and marsh ground, and it's thought that these mammoths, and they would have been 17 feet tall apparently, they were huge animals, that they got stuck in the bog and marsh and met their demise and lay buried in this hidden sediment for 1 million years before they were discovered, and all because of a geologist who spotted a little mouse hole. So that's the story. And the skeletons, or parts of the skeletons, I think are in the museum, probably Dorchester, I think, I'm not sure. But I think I did notice there is a website, and it does talk about doing some kind of geophysical survey, just to see if there's anything else, and to see whether they, because obviously that will show up if there was sand and sediment still down there, which might reveal more information. Well, that's an interesting story about Dewlish and its mammoths. And by the way, I've still not stopped for lunch yet, and it must be 2 o'clock at least, so I'm hoping that if I drop out of these trees I might be able to find somewhere to sit and have a bite to eat before we go into Dewlish. So we're coming down towards the bottom of this scarp slope now. A nice, slightly more gentle way than would have come down if we'd have come straight off. That's a lovely bit of light, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? That's private, we're not going that way. We go down this way. Oh, we're off the slope now. That's off to the right, in amongst the trees, and we are in parkland, because there's a manor house here dating from 1702. It's Dewlish House, but I don't know that we can see it because it's hidden in the trees, I think. So we can see Dewlish House over there through the trees. Said to be one of the loveliest houses in Dorset. So we're obviously not getting the best view of Dewlish House from this side, but yes, it's Queen Anne style, built 1702, was originally, or one time, the home of Sir John Michel, who was a military man, said to be brave and courageous. In fact, there were 3 generations: his son-in-law and also his grandson, who were both, or all 3, were military and very courageous apparently. In fact, the grandson became known as the man who knew no fear. And we'll come across them again in a moment when we reach the village of Dewlish. But this is lovely parkland here. Well, I've not been able to find anywhere to sit to enjoy my lunch, but there's a stile here, so I think I'm going to make use of this. And that's going to be my lunchtime view. Which is not bad, is it, eh? Well, that wasn't a bad place for lunch. Now I have new batteries in my camera and sustenance in my tummy, so we're all recharged and ready to go. 3 stiles. 1, 2, 3. Making me work today, aren't they? Right. So Dewlish House went on the market a few years ago, and the estate sold for £12 million. And went to an American. Seem to say that with a few of our manor houses, that they sold to Americans. This one was already living in England apparently. And in the distance we can see Dewlish Church, which is where we're headed for next. I want to go through this field if I can. So on our way to the church we walk through Court Close, which sounds like a road, but it's actually not. This is Court Close here. It is an earthworks, which you can see here. Just crossed the rampart. So this is Court Close, covers 17 acres apparently, purpose unknown, but it was a settlement of some sort. And at the eastern end there is a moat, or remains of a moat, which suggests that there was a building or a manor house or something within that. So this is the other side of it. It's kind of rectangular earthworks. I guess some of it's probably been lost over time through farming and so on. Anyway, we're heading for the church now, which is the Church of All Saints, Dewlish. Actually an attractive church, I think, especially with this lovely sunlight and the blue sky and this beautiful church. Hello. Hello. Right. Nosy little blighters, aren't they? High-spirited. I'm still looking for a way into the church. Well, I finally got out onto the road in Dewlish, and I think I found the entrance to the churchyard. Ooh. So, All Saints Church dates from the 12th century. Although, I think I say this with every church really, it's modified, enlarged in the 14th century, the 15th century and the 16th century, and restored again in 1872. So it's been changed over the years. But we'll go in and see if we can have a look. It's another lovely arch over the door. Let's try the door. It is open. Ooh. So I said we would come across the Michel family again. So this is the memorial to Sir John Michel. As I said before, a military man. And this, I believe, is the family box pew. And this is the memorial to his grandson, Raymond de Montmorency the man who knew no fear, which was perhaps his demise because he was actually killed in action in South Africa. Just 33 years old. And this is obviously their graves. That's Field Marshal the Right Honourable Sir John Michel. A lot of these are de Montmorencys, so descendants of his daughter, I assume. That's Kathleen. This is Rachel. So that is the wonderful All Saints Church at Dewlish. It's a lovely little church and in a really lovely setting as well. Right, so we've got to walk through the village of Dewlish now. Some amazing buildings here, really nice. So Dewlish, where does it get its name from? Well, it gets its name from the stream. Apparently in Celtic, the stream which we crossed earlier means dark stream. So I said earlier about this being a devilishly good walk. That clue comes from the stream and Dewlish, because at some point Dewlish must have been associated with Devilish, because the stream which we crossed earlier is known as the Devil's Brook. In the Domesday Book in 1086 it's known as Devonis, and obviously, like most names, it's got derivatives down through the years. It's changed, probably because word of mouth, probably, rather than written down or something, and it's gradually changed over the years to become Dewlish now. But with devilish connections, purely I think in the name of the stream. So there is another story about Dewlish, a slightly gruesome one, and that concerns a lady called Betsy Caines, and this is actually known as Betsy Caines Corner, and of note the old parsonage farmhouse. It is unfortunately shrouded in scaffolding at the moment, but Betsy Caines apparently hanged herself behind a door in that house. Following her death, the door was boarded up and then bricked up, and remains bricked up to this day. And it's the door on the upper floor which still remains bricked up, and it's said that her ghost has been seen sitting on the gate. So that's the story of Betsy Caines, who hanged herself on the first floor behind the door of the first floor of this house, and gives her name to this corner. So we need to head off. It's getting on for 4 o'clock and I've still got 3 miles to walk. On the dried up stream bed. So it's a very pretty little village, I think, Dewlish. Does unfortunately appear to be very busy when you're trying to film. There's delivery vans and all sorts been coming down here, but this is very picturesque here. We've got water in this one. So this is the Devil's Brook again. Oh, sorry, can't get my shadow out of it. Oh, a lovely tree. So we're leaving the village of Dewlish now, heading out the other side, and still the escarpment is on our right. So Dewlish actually kind of runs like a ribbon, I suppose, below the scarp slope, with the Devil's Brook flowing through the middle of it. But I hope you enjoyed that little walk around the village. It is a lovely village. Surprisingly busy when you're trying to film. That's often the case. But it's got a lot of history. Beautiful church. Lovely manor house, if we could have seen more of it. And yeah, interesting stories about mammoths and mice and suicides. And ghosts, of course. Anyway, we're heading out now. We're going to climb up onto the hill on our right in a minute. In fact, I think we're partly climbing now, because I see there's a slope on my left already. And then we'll be crossing over the top of the hill back to Milborne St Andrew again. Well, we're nearly up the top of the hill. It's clouded over quite a lot now, unfortunately. I think it was forecasted that it would cloud over more as the day went on, but I've done pretty well, I think, to be honest. We've had a lot of sunshine today and a lot of fantastic walking. Uh-oh, we must be expecting rain. The cows are all sat down. Well, that's what they used to say. Could be just that they're tired, of course. Hello. Are you expecting rain? Are you expecting rain? Oh, dear. I obviously don't speak cow, do I? Hello. Well, I hope you're all wrong, because I don't have a waterproof. I don't suppose they have either. There's a group of deer over there in the middle of the field. Looks like they're just looking at me, wondering whether I'm a shooter or not. I always love to see deer, even though they're fairly common these days. I still enjoy seeing them. They always add something to a walk for me. There's more deer down at the end of the orchard, right down the end. It's really clouded over quite heavily now. They're all looking at me. I'm actually not in their field. Well, leastways I'm in their field, but there's an electric fence between me and them. It's quite bright over there. Got a little bit of brightness in the sky now. I'm guessing this one is getting very protective over her little calf here. He's actually crept under the fence. Ah. Interesting place to park a car. So the end comes into sight. Down here you can see the village of Milborne St Andrews, where I started, and over here the Humpy Hill. Don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, I can't tell. You can see Weatherby Hill Fort. So we're nearly there. Bit more walking down here's this country lane, and we will join the village. The sun's come out again just in time for us to reach Milborne St Andrews. Well, I think before we get into the village, I will end the video and sign it off here. It's sort of about half a mile or so to go back to the starting point, and it's walking through the village. So keep watching, because I'll film some more of the village, hopefully, on the way back. But yes, I'll just sign the video off here. What an awesome day again. It's been fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Such a good route. So much to see on the way. Stories and folk tales, if you like, and real stuff as well. Lots to see, lots of views. A couple of nice villages, lovely churches. It's got so much going for it, and I love Dewlish. Such a nice village that was. Really like it. Definitely will be a return point for me. I'll come back here. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing, and 10.5 miles by the time I get back to the car. So I'm absolutely chuffed with that. Ankle's a bit sore, I have to say. I've hammered it a bit today, really, with this one. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it though. Well worth it. I can put up with the pain when I get so much pleasure out of a walk. So anyway, thanks so much for coming with me. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting. I've absolutely loved it, as always. But for now, this is me, the Dorset Rambler, saying, until next time.